Decided to break up with my boyfriend after he repeatedly pressured me to prioritize his daughter over my own family and financial goals. My F37 boyfriend, Ben male 42, has been asking weird questions and expecting me to do things that would go against my plans for my own family. Things have been working out for me in the past few years, but this year has been amazing. I decided to cut down on my daily workload a bit after I got 3 accounts that are helping me reach some financial goals. I'm planning on buying a house for my family. I downsized my current living situation, renting, after my kids went to live, temporarily, with my parents for this semester while I completed my certified training and graduated from my present program in uni. My new place isn't as nice looking as other places, but the price was a good cut from living expenses for me. I can both walk to the office, and uni and I hardly have to move my car for anything. I'm saving money that I'm putting in an account for my kids. Ben absolutely hates my place. It's clean and in a relatively safe area, it's just that it's a mix of student area/old families and traffic can get messy from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. and some houses are simple and elegant and some look like tacky add-ons. I don't care if my place doesn't look nice on the outside. It's not like it's an eyesore, and it's up to me to make it livable on the inside. I had 2 other choices. Choice A cost $200 less than my previous place, with access to a community pool and 2 bedrooms. I don't need more than 1 bedroom at the moment and I don't really have time to enjoy the pool. Choice B was a bit lower, but about 45 minutes away. It was beautiful and close to the school where Ben's kid went. He did hint at it, but he would have needed to get on the lease and come up with the difference between this place and my new studio apartment that I chose. Also, living together is a major decision, and right now, I really need to focus on my career and education. He said he understood, but he didn't take it well. He told me that his daughter was disappointed because she would have liked a nice place to hang out. Ben lives in an apartment. It's an average place with no problems or issues, so what he said came out as a weird remark. Fast forward, and he started asking questions. First, he asked if I would be interested in partnering with him for a business idea. I said no because I already made a commitment to self-fund my own venture. Second, I'm not familiar with the industry that he wanted to break into. Then, he began noticing things about things that I owned. I'm not hiding that I'm financially stable, but I don't spend a lot. He did notice that I've bought a few nice items and started telling jokes that felt harmless. Then he said that I was loaded and that his daughter would be an awesome protege. I stayed quiet, TBH, because I think he might have been offended, but there's no way in hell that I would allow entrance to what I've built to anyone other than my kids. Also, he said that I should treat his daughter as very special because I only had boys, and she's my chance to have a girl in the family, his words. Don't get me wrong, she's a good kid. I have never missed out on gifting her nice and thoughtful presents on her birthdays and the holidays, but his words created a sense of discomfort and disgust for me. It felt like reverse sexism, and I told him. She and I have a decent relationship, but there's no way that I will give her access to my money if that means to treat her as my own. I know this sounds very wrong, but it's how I feel. She's not the kind of kid who's a bully or nasty or anything, but she's not my child, and every time that he asks for things, I feel like he's trying to get me to take from my kids to give to her. It happened again when I gave her a short-term weekend job. The office cleaning lady wasn't available, so I hired his daughter for a Saturday cleaning. She did a good job, I paid her, and took her to the mall to get her some makeup that she wanted, and she came back next weekend. When he picked her up, he started joking that she would start from the bottom and rise to be top executive like any other kid at their family business. I didn't say anything because she was there, but I did approach him later on and mentioned it to him. I tried to be gentle, but it was important for us to at least discuss expectations. His initial reaction wasn't what I expected. To be fair, I think he got nervous or embarrassed, but I didn't like his reaction. So he said something about me potentially putting her in my will. I'd like to clarify that he laughed, so I think it was a joke, but I also think that he wouldn't have clarified if I'd gone along. I simply stayed quiet and told him that I cared about his daughter, but it isn't fair to create any expectations. I've worked so hard to give my kids a better future, and it's taken me over 10 years, and the fact that he only sees the results without taking my past and my ordeal into consideration feels disrespectful. I also mentioned how he wanted me to change my budget and plans for a different property while he knew that moving together isn't an option, and that he stayed silent when I mentioned he would have needed to pay the difference on the lease. Also, I mentioned that I would not make unnecessary sacrifices. Nothing else was said. He stormed out of my car and, this is why I feel like the asshole here, started walking with his hand in his pocket and a weak smirk. I had to drive slowly next to him to convince him to get back inside the car because I hate Dr. David Banner scenes. He looked like a kicked puppy. After I dropped him off, he has been sending me texts about being disconnected from what a blended family actually is, showing that I think his daughter is inferior, being a hypocrite, and bullying. This has disturbed my inner peace because I'm just defending whatever legacy I have built, and having to do it against my partner just doesn't feel right. We talked about it, and he apologized, and I did the same in case I was too harsh. He said we could find some middle ground, and I was open to it. When he talked about helping him create a business for his daughter, I began to get angry because, again, it would be sweat equity for me. I declined because I did all the sweating I had to, but it was for me, and what he's asking just isn't fair. It's a responsibility, and I truly like to do things appropriately. I don't want to say yes and do it half-ass, and I don't want to work for free. I also don't want to mix anything between business and pleasure because it's my network, and my contacts, and again, it could go very nice and well or it could be a shit show and I don't want that. I'm also concerned that he will ramp up and keep asking and asking for things. He said that if I don't help, he will feel like we will never build anything together. I said he needed to hire a consultant, but he stayed quiet, so I told him that he shouldn't place the responsibility of his present situation on me. He said that I'm probably blinded by my success, but that one day, I'll wake up single and lonely. I asked if he was threatening to leave me, and he said I'm not acting like a helpful partner. I asked for a break, and he freaked out. I'm just trying to keep my mental health in check because his constant asking and jokes have made me anxious. Also, I'm very angry and thinking that he just wants a handout. I texted him this morning asking to talk. I want to break up. He said he hopes I'm not planning on dumping him because it would mean that I just tricked him into a break. He posted something about his own mental health today. Ida for deciding to end things? We haven't talked yet, but that's my intention. I don't see his kid as inferior at all. I just want to keep my money out of it. Edit, to the judgmental people calling me names for letting my kids live with my parents for this semester only, please enlighten me. Would it be a great option to reject a good opportunity and finish my education to gain your approval? Right, because not doing my best to give them a good financial start in life is a better option. Also, where did you get that I'm an absent mother? Did I say that I don't see them or spend time with them? Update 1. We formally broke up today, and he made it very difficult to focus on our conversation. He interrupted me every 5 seconds and was in denial for almost half of it. I asked to meet at a small restaurant, public place strategy, to avoid any type of drama. I tried to be respectful but definitely wanted to bring up my uneasiness and feelings about his behavior. He tried to brush it off at first, but when I insisted, he evaded the subject. I told him what he already knows: my children are my priority as a sole provider, and I want to ensure that they have their needs covered. There were some comments on my other post that I had thought about but hadn't verbalized. Like, what would he inherit my kids, or what's his plan for his own kid? I know he doesn't have much, but that's no excuse. When I established the comparison between what he wanted for his kid versus what he would give to mine, his face changed, like I was greedy and he was insulted. He said my kids don't have a dad and that he can provide a paternal figure. This triggered me so much that I had to try and keep my volume in check. My thought is that being there like a piece of furniture in exchange for financial benefits for his own kid is acceptable to him. I would have loved for my kids to have a decent dad, but that's just not in the cards, and right now, I'm better off alone than with Ben. I was so angry that he kept asking me to calm down. He said he's leaving his dad for good knowledge on life in general because there are things that only he can offer since her mom is too secular, whatever that means, and I didn't ask him. I said that we needed to break up, and he immediately got upset and left our table. I thought he was gone, but he came back later and claimed he only went to use the restroom. I told him that I can't share any part of my life with him after he behaved like a gold digger, and that even if I was able to get past this, I would never even consider getting back together because his intentions are entitled and dishonest. All in all, I'm just glad that we weren't alone. He has high blood pressure issues, real, I've seen the medication, and sometimes, I've suspected some types of mental health issues, going from 0 to 100 for things that seemed incongruent. He said he was truly sorry if he offended me and said that he felt tricked and betrayed. That breaks are meant for introspection and to seek improvement and not to abandon a relationship. That my actions will have an impact on his daughter because she really likes me. I offered to have a last call/text with her if he agreed, but his answer was no. Fuck you, you don't get to say anything to her. He said that I'm caught up in my new mainstream life, whatever that means. It's fucking offensive considering that I've worked for my financial stability after a few years of things not being great. He told me to go suck on my colleague's DCKS but immediately apologized. I told him I'm not surprised at his behavior, since it shows me that he seems to think sex can solve anything. I also said that since he was being gross and vulgar, I'm learning just now that men like him are unfuckable, homosexual, handout seekers and insincere, and that I will never date someone who is not financially stable, ever again, because this is a huge lesson. I wish that I could say that I had left him sitting alone at the table, but he left first. When I was about to get my handbag to pay for my food, he rushed to get his backpack and walked off really quick. I blocked him everywhere, but I already changed my locks. He never had a key, nor did he stay over, but I'm just being cautious. He called one of our friends in common to vent about me, and she ended up angry with him because he was very insistent that I had mistreated him, and she told him that she needed to hear my side of the story. She and I had a long conversation, and she told me that she can't blame me, because our group of friends had been noticing the imbalance in our relationship and how he seemed comfortable including himself in conversations about business and success when in the 16 years that she's known him, he's never gotten anything done. Update 2. A month later, well, buckle up, because I wish I could say things calmed down after my last, admittedly exhausting, update, but the saga hit another level of wild. My life is settling out, mostly for the better, but Ben took things to an unhinged, borderline sitcom place. Let's just say my detector for weird behavior has been permanently recalibrated. First up, radio silence. After our blowout breakup brunch, public space strategy never fails. I blocked Ben on everything. I focused on my certification, helped my parents with the kids on the weekends, and started apartment hunting closer to my new job, just in case he decided to get stalker-level creative. But you know that peace does not last long with certain people. Remember our mutual friend who called to hear my side after Ben vented? It turns out, Ben didn't stop there. He went DEFCON 1 in our larger friend group's WhatsApp chat. It took 2 screenshots forwarded from 3 different people for me to even process how fast he'd gone from just dump to, I don't even know, TikTok level oversharing. He spun the story as, I tried to help her become a real family and was treated like dirt because I love my daughter. At first, it was vaguely pitiful, but it ramped up. He started hinting I was hiding money for tax reasons, lol, what? That I hated kids who weren't my own, and my favorite part, that our breakup traumatized his daughter. Friends shut it down pretty fast, one even me to ask if he was always like this. A couple people who barely knew him ended up unfriending him. I felt guilty for about half a second, then realized I'd spent months feeling guilty for him, and that's off the menu now. Completely unexpectedly, I got an email at my work address from Ben's daughter. It was heartbreakingly mature. She apologized for anything weird her dad did, said she was grateful for the work experience, and, get this, said she'd looked up how difficult it is for single mothers to get ahead, and she hoped I'd never let anybody pressure me out of my goals. I actually cried a little at my office desk. I debated emailing back forever, but ended up sending her a short, friendly response, basically saying I believed in her, she should always reach for her own ambitions, and she shouldn't feel responsible for adults' mistakes. I told her she's got this, and that was it. In what I can only describe as alarming productivity for a guy who never followed through on anything, Ben pivoted from group chats to Facebook. He posted cryptic, pseudo-motivational rants about users, working hard and being stabbed in the back by women lifted up by men. The subtlety of a sledgehammer, basically. Mutuals started joking he was one step from going live and selling masculine self-help guides from his car. Surprisingly, Ben himself sent me a snail mail letter, handwritten, 4 full pages. The highlights, he accused me of abandoning his daughter like all the men had abandoned me, which claimed I'd never understand real family, and that someday I'd see how empty money is. He also asked me to send his daughter's makeup bag, if I really cared. She left it in my car. I mailed it back, no note. On the brighter side, I landed a job offer from one of my newer business contacts, and with my savings and the kids moving back, found an apartment with a genuine second bedroom. I'm suspiciously happy for the first time in a long while. We're not rich, but for the first weekend back, I made pancakes, we watched old Marvel movies, and I exhaled for the first time since the whole Ben debacle started. Oh, and, my parents, who met Ben only twice and never liked him, are quietly smug. My mom, when she saw his Facebook rant, dryly said, he should try therapy instead of TED Talks. God, I love her. About 10 days ago, Ben showed up at my work. Unannounced, security called me, thinking he was a random delivery guy loitering in the lobby. He never got past the desk, but he left a note with reception saying he needed closure and wanted to fix what we had. I let HR know not to let him in, they took it seriously. That night, he sent a final text, from a new number, mostly whining and asking me to pay him back for the emotional labor of helping with my kids' stuff, which honestly almost made me laugh. Last week? One of our mutual friends texted me a screenshot from Ben's new dating profile. He lists entrepreneurship, blended families, and open to moving in quickly as top interests. I nearly snorted water out my nose reading it. This entire thing showed me a lot about boundaries, and a hell of a lot about the importance of protecting your hard work, even, especially, from people who say they love you. I'm wrapping up my professional certification, saving for an actual home, and maybe, hopefully, helping my boys learn what a healthy relationship should look like. And the next time anyone hints that I'm too focused on my own family's future, or that I shouldn't care so much about the money I've bled for, I'm blocking, deleting, and moving forward. If I ever date again, you better believe the first question I'm asking is how do you handle your own life, and your own wallet? Update 3, 6 weeks after the last circus. Readers, you know how everyone says you'll reach a point where you look back at past chaos with a sort of exhausted gratitude that things are over? That was not my experience, because apparently Ben believes in sequels. This man's ability to stage accidental drama is now my personal weather system. Buckle up. First, the good, my kids are home, we've settled into our new apartment, and my parents gifted us an absolutely ancient but working espresso machine they found on Marketplace so you can survive mornings as a family again. The boys made welcome back posters for each other. My younger one tried to spell apartment and wrote apartment, which now lives on the fridge forever. I'm physically tired, but for the first time in years, it's the kind of tired that comes from doing my own thing, with no one demanding emotional unpaid labor, secret financial agreements, or business plans for people whose best skill is ghosting. But Ben. Oh, Ben, if you thought the grand finale would be a long monologue about emotional labor and some self-pitying Facebook rants, oh boy, I wish you were right. Let's start with the email. HR at my new job, yeah, they're the good sort, actual humans, received an informal inquiry from someone claiming to be a concerned community member wondering if my second job as a consultant violated company ethics. The email was long, weirdly formal, and referenced things from my old workplace and community involvement, a little specific to be random. HR brought me in laughing, showed me the email, and the only thing missing was a return address that said Ben_is_upset at nowhere. Com. They dismissed it, but I was stunned by the level of pettiness. Who needs Netflix? This was swiftly followed by friend group drama, round 2. Apparently, Ben tried again to drag me through the mud by telling our group I'd sabotaged his business dreams. Fun side note, his business now allegedly involves dropshipping motivational mugs, from his daughter's name, of course. Plot twist, she's launched her own Etsy for handmade pins, and her reviews are blowing up. I bought one, anonymously, because she's a hustler and deserves support. She's now learning coding from YouTube. Kid is going places her dad will have to Google to find. I went a whole blessed week without any Ben news. Then a mutual friend, let's call her Janice, messaged me frantic. Apparently, Ben showed up trying to borrow money to get his kid's business off the ground, since I'd left a single father for dead. When Janice declined, he left her with "You'll see, I'll be the one laughing when she's begging for handouts." She told him she'd Venmo me for my therapy bill, so at least I got a laugh. Then, brace yourselves, one day after work, my ex-husband called, the boy's dad. We're not close, but have a working co-parent system. He's never interacted with Ben, until now. He tells me he received a Facebook message from a concerned acquaintance warning him that I'm planning to disinherit my children for someone else's kid, that I'm unstable, and that he should intervene for the boy's sake. At this point, the only intervention I need is for someone to intervene between Ben's keyboard and his access to Wi-Fi. My ex was bemused, said it sounded like some broke dude mad his gold digging spade snapped off, and wished me luck. We had a real moment of divorced people solidarity. But right after this, Ben finally gave up the concerned dad act and went full Facebook live sage. Anyone remember those relationship guru live streams that pop up at 3 a.m? Ben hosted one, public Facebook, live, 11 p.m. on a Sunday. About a dozen randoms tuned in. I heard about it from my teammate's husband, who was watching for the cringe value. My highlight reel, him holding a mug, presumably one of his own, one arm thrown dramatically over his daughter's empty chair, pontificating about women who never know their own luck and what it means to build family legacy as a man. The chat roasted him so hard that at one point, someone wrote, "Sir, blink twice if you need employment." I've never been so grateful for the internet's appetite for mockery. From there? Radio silence. Blessed, wonderful, peaceful nothing. It's now been almost a month without a single word. My mutual friends tell me he tried to reset his social media with a slew of posts about hiking, avocado toast, and a rebrand as a personal growth consultant. As for me, the best development, last week, my oldest came home from school and asked if I'd help him research scholarships, because I want to earn it the way you did. Reader. I ugly cried. And for anyone following along, I've filed an official no contact request with my landlord and work, changed my email, and I'm looking into a legal cease and desist just in case. The universe delivered the final punchline. That old espresso machine? Works like a dream, even if it's held together by duct tape and hope. Just like this apartment. So yeah, moral of the story, love can be blind, but your financial boundaries should be neon lit, 6 feet tall, and visible from space. I wish Ben all the best on his mug empire, but I built my family legacy the old-fashioned way, hard work, wit, and making damn sure my kids' passwords are stronger than my ex's resolve. To anybody in a similar boat, you don't owe anyone your time, effort, money, or legacy just because they have feelings or blended family ambitions. My next goal? Find a hobby that isn't untangling a man-child from my future. Open to suggestions. Preferably espresso-related. Update 4. 2 months later, the new normal edition, and yes, somehow even crazier. You would think the universe would let me slide quietly into peaceful routine, but apparently domestic tranquility is not on the menu, not when Ben is still out in the wild, and not with what happened next. I wasn't planning to give another update, I swear, but events have unfolded that I promise you are equal parts bananas, heartwarming, and, against all expectations, a little hopeful. First, for the normal, the apartment is busier than ever and the ancient espresso beast is still chugging along, even though now it occasionally screeches like a haunted tea kettle. My boys are thriving. My oldest landed a part-time job tutoring at the local library. I want to earn extra for my gaming setup, but also to buy grandma her favorite mints, and my youngest was named Helper of the Month at his after-school program. My parents visited for a weekend and, not to be outdone, upgraded my curtain rods and made enough lasagna to feed the entire apartment building. In other words, our personal, quirky, little world is strong. But of course, Ben's plotline still wasn't quite over. It started with a certified letter, and yes, I literally nervously laughed when I picked it up from the building office. Was it small claims over a makeup bag? A bill for emotional labor? Nope, this time, it was a legal notice, drafted, badly, by a paralegal friend of Ben's. The complaint? That I had damaged his daughter's entrepreneurial prospects by promising but then withholding mentorship, connections, and startup capital, and that I had defamed his goodwill in the community and future blended family reputation. If anyone else had read it, you'd have thought it was an Onion article. You cannot make this up. My attorney cousin, A true MVP, read it over, sent a one-line reply, and then sent Ben's legal counsel an invoice for time wasted. We haven't heard anything since, probably because Ben realized that you can't build a case for unfulfilled gold digging. But the real earthquake came through. And here's where things got weirdly interesting. A reporter from a local business-focused website reached out, someone I'd met at a professional event earlier in the year. She was running a story on startups and side hustles in unexpected places, focusing on young entrepreneurs, and Ben's daughter came up by name because of her now very successful Etsy pin business. The reporter had seen mutual tags with me. Turns out, his daughter told the real story, that she'd been inspired to go solo after seeing a neighbor, me, hold boundaries and prioritize her own kids and business goals. She called it one of the best things that ever happened to her growth. The reporter reached out asking for my consent to be mentioned, and set up a phone chat. Long story short? The article came out last week. It was light, positive, and gently but firmly side-eyed parental interference. Ben's daughter was featured as a self-starter. She even praised her dad for giving her the motivation to prove she could do things herself, but the shade was strong enough that even I had to reread it twice. Social media caught on and, in a wonderful twist, a local women's business incubator reached out to her to offer a starter mentorship program. Meanwhile, Ben's reaction? He tried to crash the comments section, only to have his daughter publicly reply, "Thanks, Dad, but this is my journey now." Mutual friends, the ones who actually still talk to Ben, said he's now in meditative reflection, aka sulking and reading self-help books. His latest side hustle, selling authentic courage seminars at the library, was shut down after library staff overheard him refer to women who hold back men's legacies and promptly unbooked his workshop. The group chat memes alone have been worth this entire ordeal. Speaking of memes, my work friends made a Ben bingo card. Squares included unsolicited legal letter. Facebook live meltdown, and accuses someone else of ruining his daughter's future. We celebrated my certification and new promotion by filling in the last square, meditative reflection Instagram post. But, in a genuinely unexpected turn, Ben's daughter reached out again, inviting me, and my kids, to her first ever holiday market stall, saying she wanted to show what I built, not ask for anything. We went. She was sharp, funny, and clearly, truly doing her own thing. My boys bought pins, I bought too many. She hugged me, in a corner of the venue. Ben did a drive-by, he waved, avoided eye contact, and thankfully made zero scene. I realized then, boundaries work, but more importantly, if you model them, sometimes you teach more than you know, even to kids who technically aren't yours. No one owes anyone else their dreams, sweat, or savings, but sometimes just standing your ground gives someone watching the strength to build their own legacy. Where does that leave me? Well, besides the impending espresso machine breakdown and the boys' new obsession with Dungeons and Dragons, I actually have no idea what a gelatinous cube is, but I'm learning, life is normal. For the first time, normal actually feels amazing. To anyone reading, if someone asks you to set yourself on fire to keep them warm, tell them to buy their own blanket. It's cheaper than defending yourself at small claims court from damaged blended family legacy complaints. And next time I get asked to mentor some dude's dreams, I'll recommend a nice, affordable library seminar. Preferably one Ben's not hosting.